with some stars and the executive producer of Bates Motel. Welcome to Comic-Con, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So we're going into the 5th and final season here, and Nestor, it looks like you've got a bone to pick. Looks like you're on a collision course with one Norman Bates. Is this sort of like a Batman versus Superman situation we're looking forward to here?
You're going to give him that much credit? I mean, come on. It's really not a fair fight. Or you tell me, Kerry. You know what's going to happen.
It is epic. I will say that. Yes, it is an epic battle.
You know, when we left Norman, it looked like he'd made himself a nice little dream world.
Yes.
But there are still characters out there like Dylan and Alex who are going to want to come knocking and are going to sort of poke and prod into this. Could he exist in this dream world if it weren't for all these other people?
Well, yes, couldn't we all?
I guess so, yeah.
Isn't that the idea? Yes, he could, yeah. To the extent that it can give him what he wants out of it. And I think that's part of what the last season delves into psychologically. But also just in terms of the last season, it is because so many characters have kind of circled out toward the end, and it's an all roads lead to home.
Yeah.
In the last season.
Well, yeah. Speaking of leaving town, we've got Dylan, who looks like he's gonna have a happy life at this point. He's new job, new city, new girl, and I'm assuming that is not going to hold. What do you think heading into this season?
Yeah, I think obviously everything is going really well for Dylan, but he doesn't know about his mom. And I think that obviously when he finds out, it's going to be a mess, a disaster, and devastating to him. I think.
And also, there's a lot of unfinished business between him and his mom.
Yeah.
Which really.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
That,
that we kind of sort of left unsaid, and I guess hopefully maybe we'll dive into a little bit of that, and obviously we'll see how it affects him. But I think Norman, he thinks he gets to live in his dreamland for a little while longer, but this is the real world, and
Yeah, exactly.
And, I mean,
exactly.
and Dylan, in a way, too, is living in a little bit of a dreamland.
Right. One that is
where
even more harder to attain, than just imagining one.
It is. I mean, it's he wants to just forget. He wants to not think about it and move on. And can you ever really escape from your dysfunctional family and your secrets?
And speaking of dysfunctional family, it was I really enjoyed seeing sort of Alex come into the Bates picture more in this last season than season 4, and becoming a family member per se, very briefly. What was it like for you to sort of work with Vera in that way and become part of that circle?
Well, thank you. No, it was great. It was Kerry had mentioned at the outset when we started the show on the pilot that eventually that our paths will collide in that way, and that I would open up my heart and only to see it shattered later. But so this was the payoff year. This was a year where we would eventually come together, and it was obviously a nice push-pull that you guys wrote. You wrote an incredible push-pull, so we finally did sort of declare our love for each other. Being part of the family was amazing. I mean, in that way, it was
Such
great.
a great addition to that family, honestly. Mm-hmm. I mean, boy, did we need him.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Boy, does the Bateses need Romero.
But I mean, I guess Norma can only sort of exist within one bubble at a time, though. It seems like she can't have both.
Yes.
And when Norman's away, she can have a good relationship and so on. You would agree with that?
It's the magic of codependence.
Yeah. Could there possibly be coming a team up between the Dylan and Alex characters?
That's a very interesting question.
It is an interesting question.
There could.
There could possibly.
There could be some peaks and valleys to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Carlton mentioned circling into the end game, into season 5, that we would be crossing paths with famous film character Marion Crane.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how she might mix into the story?
Yeah, I mean, one of the really, fun and challenging, but mostly fun parts of the stories this year is taking the mythology of Psycho and integrating it with our world, so that it isn't just Psycho, and it's been really fun. And Marion Crane, I mean, the idea of, to me, what's interesting about that is that, there's a movie from a very long time ago, and she's a very kind of female character. To be totally honest, written by a guy.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it's a super interesting character to reinvent in a contemporary world. Like who is Marion Crane, and what is that victim about? And is she really, is she still that same person?
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that, yeah. Max, do you think Dylan stands a chance of surviving this? If he's returning to Norman at some point, with questions about his mother, with unresolved feelings about his mother, how is he going to react to Norman at this point? Like,
I mean,
So many
clearly
layers.
not. Yeah, clearly, yeah. Clearly not well. But the two of them obviously also have been through so much together, and I think that there's obviously going to be some part of Dylan that assumes the worst and knows what Norman is capable of. But there's also this inevitable bond that they've had through their ups and downs that that brothers share.
And
there
you're
were times when
you're
there was the
big
two of them
brother.
against
Yeah.
Norma. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be, really complicated for both of them, and I think it's going to be probably hard for both of them. So obviously, we'll see how that pans out.
Great.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
Comic-Con. And as always, keep it locked into IGN for all things San Diego Comic-Con.